we wouldn't be here. But the other thing, which I think more people are now also thinking, is that this axial tilt, this tilt away from the true, which doesn't
Mm.
apply to any other planet, I mean, except Uranus, as I say, is on its side, Venus goes the other way, both of which would impact on any possibility of life, even if they were in our habitable zone. But Earth is the only one with this 23.5 degree tilt. Any ideas what benefits that gives us? Why it is actually also a Goldilocks zone of its own? In other words, it's crucial for life. Any ideas why that would be?
Well, I think you said it actually. You said it gives you the
Did I say
ability
it?
to retain water, don't it? That's what you said?
Yeah, that's the Goldilocks zone where the Earth is positioned
Oh,
in
right.
relation
Okay.
to the Sun. But
Right.
I'll tell you, on the point of the we've always known we've got this tilt. It does slightly vary from times. It goes down to 22 degrees, maybe up to 24, but
Yeah.
it generally is an average of 23.5 degrees off of true. And that what that does, it means that as we go around the sun, one of the hemispheres, say the northern hemisphere which we're in, will, for some of the year, will be facing the sun. So we get the warmth, we get the ability to grow things and so on. The other half, we're away from the sun. So again, it's cooler. And of course, we're talking of summer and winter. And of course, Southern Hemisphere, Australia and co, they have their summer when we have our winter. So they have Christmas summers down there because that's facing the sun. Now, the point of this what faces the sun of the Earth is that it creates the seasons. We have spring, summer, autumn, and
Oh,
winter.
yeah.
As the Earth goes round again on its own axis and in relation to the sun, because we're off perpendicular, then different parts of the Earth get different or very necessary amounts of sunshine and warmth in that way. So it creates the seasons, which in turn means we can grow food and all those other things. Life would be, if we didn't have that tilt, half of the Earth would always be facing the sun, which would make it unlivable because of
Yeah.
the heat coming through on that. The other side would be far too cold, so you couldn't grow the necessary food. So these days, it's reckoned to be very much, very much a Goldilocks zone situation, like the one of the position of the Earth as well.
Mm.
So yeah, we need to, and when we think about it, we could say, well, I know we don't do religion, we don't do politics,
Mm.
we don't really get into is there a creator behind this? I mean,
Mm.
many millions of people believe there is. Some say no, it's just coincidence that these things came about. In other words, two Goldilocks zone situations. You
Yeah.
could say the odds against that are massive. That it's all too incredibly clever so that
Mm.
complex life could be produced
Mm.
from this carbon based universe. And this one planet here, us, actually can support complex life where it emerged because of its exact position in relation to the sun and this very strange bit of luck that a collision not only gave us a moon, which also has its benefits to us. It affects the tides, for example, which are a good thing in other ways, but
Mm.
also it means we have the seasons. And if that hadn't happened, that collision, that time presumably,
Mm.
then we wouldn't know anything about it anyway because we wouldn't be here. So
Mm.
there's all sorts of philosophical questions, aren't there, that come in to say, how do we individually view this? Many of us say, yeah, this has got to be done by design. It's too complicated and too complicated and too chancy otherwise. Others might say, well, coincidences happen. What are the odds on winning the Euro Millions lottery? Well, I
Mm.
think they're about 145 million to one. So long odds on something like that. But people do win it. It does happen. People can buy the lucky ticket. So long odds don't necessarily mean that something can't or couldn't have happened on its own. But I think generally you could say that there are pretty large amounts of evidence. There's a lot more to this creation than perhaps we ever are able to put our minds to. Maybe it's all too big and complex for us to really grasp, as we've seen with these numbers, sizes of stars and so on. So really, that's it. That's the life-giving star that we call our sun.
Wow.
We talked about it before, didn't we? About colours, because I think we talked about the fact that colours don't really exist. It's just what our brains interpret the sun's light rays.
Yeah.
Because out of the sun, you get all the colours of the electromagnetic spectrum, or the colours of the rainbow, but coming out together, they come out as white. So if you see a photograph of the sun from a spaceship, for example, it will be white. But sometimes we get photos from the Earth from these amazing telescopes, and it looks for all the world like a nicely burning red fire. But it's not really red. That's the effect of the atmosphere on the light waves and how our brain sees it. Wow. So incredible stuff that the sun is, and this life is. We're here either by a complete stroke of luck, and we might never have happened, or we are the brains of this universe. We are observing this universe, finding out more about it, about ourselves in the process. Whether we've talked about aliens before, are there other life forms in the universe? Well, the chances are we could say probably yes. I noticed the other day that NASA wants to use one of the spacecraft that's going around the Earth. I don't know how many there are, but to try and find out more about something that's been traveling. They've discovered in July quite a big thing traveling for billions of years, and it's going to pass us, between us and the sun, I think in the next few days. And they wanted to try and get something near it to photograph it, to see if it did have any alien connotations or what it might be. It could help us to find out more about the universe. But yeah, that's something they might want to do. But all the time, of course, our scientists are finding out much more in the sky. They see stuff. I mean, when we look up, we just see a beautiful mass of stars, particularly if there's no light pollution where we are. It's beautiful, the galaxy that we're in, the Milky Way. And to know there's billions of galaxies and billions of stars is just mind-blowing. But that's the magical world we live in.
It is mind blowing, yeah. I mean, we've only got just over 2 minutes. But I was just thinking, imagine if the sun, imagine if our Earth just decides to just walk away,
Well, yeah, that's an interesting one, because we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, give or take a little bit. And if the Earth just suddenly stops spinning, anything that's not nailed down will keep going round at 1,000 miles an hour, which would obviously include us. If the Earth suddenly stopped spinning, we would still find that. You'd have to hang on to your hat, of course. You'd be spinning round at 1,000 miles an hour. And equally, if the sun disappeared, we wouldn't know for 8 minutes, because that's the time it takes the light to get to us. But if it disappeared, the Earth would suddenly zoom off on a straight line of 67,000 miles an hour, which is the speed the sun is going around the galaxy. So you really have to hold on to your hollyhocks or your hat then, wouldn't you, if we were suddenly zooming at 67,000 miles an hour? So it's all perfect. This is the point. It's all perfectly in place, and we take it for granted. Tomorrow morning, it'll get light. Tonight, it'll get dark. The perfection of nature is mind-blowing. Really is.
Yeah, and rightly, like you said, there's got to be an intelligent being, behind it. Designed it and made sure that it's in the right place. Because when you look at it from NASA's cameras, there's nothing holding on to it, so you could just decide to wander off.
Well, yeah, we all hang in the universe, don't we? Everything is hanging, but spinning around. Everything spins. Incredible.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. So this is all we've got time for. Do you want to do the closing remark, please, bruv?
Yeah, well, as I say, I feel spoke a bit too much in all that, but it is such a fascinating subject. Anything to do with the universe, the sun, the stars is amazing because it's our own patch, isn't it? It's our life, and we look up at these things.
It
So,
is.
anyway, I hope you found it interesting. And yeah, I've been Trevor Gear, and he calls me Bruv.
And I'm Emmy Hikins, and he calls me Cuz. You've been watching and listening to the Alien Spaceship. It's a goodbye from me. See you next week.
Goodbye from me, too.
Let me just end.